Welcome to another season under the lights on Friday night. Tonight on High School Scoreboard Live, we span the Lone Star State from the Panhandle to Port Arthur to bring you highlights from all over the greatest football hotbed in the country. Action from the defending state champs, Allen, Katy, Denton, Geyer, and Navasota. And Neil Beasley reports on an emotional night in West Texas in the DQ Big Game of the Week. It's the season opening edition of High School Scoreboard Live, and it kicks off now. Welcome into the world's most watched high school football show. Forget the circus, this is the greatest show on earth. Scoreboard Live, featuring the guru, Craig Way, in his 18th year doing the show. Seems like 100 years. And I'm his sidekick, Rick Renner. I've been doing this for 13 years in some kind of capacity. They call it Zero Week, but there is nothing zero about some of the matchups we're seeing out of the gates, my man.
No, you talk about Allen and South Lake Carroll, Steele and Madison. That's just a couple today. And there have already been some shocking upsets on Zero Week.
And we're going to get to that, including the state's longest winning streak. We start in the Alamo City and the changing of the guard at State Power Cibolo Steel. Head coach Mike Jenks moved on to be an assistant at Texas Tech. So, longtime offensive coordinator Scott Lenhoff takes over. In his debut, he has to go up against the winningest coach out there. Right now, currently, Madison's Jim Streety, 332 wins and counting. Since the first matchup with Madison in 2010, Steele is 43-3 with 2 trips to the state championship game and 1 state title. And this year, sporting stud running back Justin Stockton coming off a 2,000-yard year. Early on, Cody Ennis to Jamichael Brown, getting it done. And then on the other end, ladies and gentlemen, let me tell you about this kid. His name is Jalen Harris, and he has some skills. Oh, man, getting it done all the way down the field. And here he is. Ladies and gentlemen, this guy can play. He gets out to the outside, and he is going to work his way all the way down the field. This game would go back and forth and back and forth. It was an absolute shootout. Madison quarterback Cody Ennis with the short touchdown on the sneak, and Madison wins it 46-45. Wow, Jim Streety, win number 333, and what a win over Cibolo Steel. What a great one out of the gates to enjoy. So we move on to what a run by the O'Connor Panthers last season. First ever regional win. They're going up against Alamo Heights. And these guys are big, talking about the Panthers and Alonzo Roscoe. And then Alamo Heights special teams, they were really special. The field goal is blocked. Cameron Dowley going the other way and looking for some blocks. He didn't even really need them. A big old return the other way. It's a 7-7 ball game. O'Connor on defense again, and another big turnover forced by the front seven. Josia Velasquez getting it done on the other end, and O'Connor will get the victory 41-28. The Mules are 7 years removed now from that state title game where they beat RG3's Coppers Cove in the state final, Craig.
The greater Austin area has more than staked its claim to Class 4A supremacy over the past few seasons. Lake Travis had its unprecedented 5 consecutive state titles. Cedar Park, twice knocked out in the quarterfinal round by Lake Travis, completed its journey to a first-ever state title last season by claiming the 4A Division II crown. Meanwhile, the team that edged Lake Travis for its first ever district title in Class 5A, Westlake, was a mere field goal away from going to the 5A Division II title round last year. And now these two elite programs, Westlake and Cedar Park, would get the 0 week off to a slam-bang start at John Gupton Stadium on Friday night, where Cedar Park had the great run last year. And there you go, we'd see the folks already interactive with our social media on that, and Cedar Park interactive early on. And why not? When you have a quarterback like Nate Grimm, who led them last year, he can take it to the house, goes up top, this sliding catch in for the score. Cedar Park last year lost to Westlake in its season opener. In fact, lost their first 2 games and rattled off 14 straight. Well, they don't have to worry about losing 2 straight to start this season, because it was all T-Wolves at home in the opener as they knock off Westlake by a 43-31 count. What about Lake Travis? Yeah, they moved up to 5A last year and managed to move on to the playoffs, but got knocked out in round 1. Now taking on Converse Judson at home, and early on for the Rockets, taking in Javon Kyle. Sweet juking for the 3-yard touchdown run. Ensuing kickoff, however, for the Cavs. Here comes Dominic Packer, thinking about tying it up immediately. 80 yards down the sidelines, was reeled in down inside the red zone, but it does set up Dominic DeLira, maybe the latest in a long line of quality Lake Travis quarterbacks, rewards Packer with the 9-yard touchdown pass. But the Rockets get the win over Lake Travis. So the two big-time 5A schools out of District 15 5A, Westlake and Lake Travis, both go down to defeat on 0 Week Friday night. Rouse and Hendrickson. Last year, Rouse had a great run. Billy McCrary had a lot to do with that. And Hendrickson with Samaje Perine headed for Oklahoma. Two big high-profile stars. Early on, it's Xavier Conley to Tyler Williams, 39 yards for the touchdown. Then Lane Griggs takes off, 53 yards up the middle, turns it outside, and it was a big night. Back and forth. Hendrickson with Samaje Perine. We told you about he's a guy headed to the University of Oklahoma. He's got moves, got speed, got a lot. And so did Hendrickson. They shut out the Rouse Raiders 28-0.
Perine's such a great story. His mom on one of our earlier shows talked about how he grew up wanting to be an Alabama Crimson Tiger. And here he is. He's going to OU because they liked Bob Stoops so much. Who else in the Capital Region should we keep our eye on?
Well, I think Leander certainly is one you've got to watch. Leander, of course, managed to get all the way to the quarterfinal round last year. Rouse was the big shocker in getting to the Final Four. And don't forget about Georgetown. They were a state finalist last year before the Eagles fell to Mr. Hurd and Denton Geyer in the state championship.
Yeah, and looking at Cedar Park, boy, the Grim Reaper. I mean, this kid is just cool, calm, and collected. He looks like he's out for another state title.
They now have it ingrained that they're supposed to win state championships now that they've got their first one out of the way.
Let's take a break. We're just getting the party started here on Fox Sports Southwest. Coming up next, we'll check in with the Fox Sports Southwest girls and get the buzz on Twitter. It's crazy tonight. And head out to the Piney Woods in East Texas and check on the defending state champions, Allen, who's got everybody back, taking on Southlake Carroll, and Denton Geyer, plus an emotional DQ. Big game of the week in West Texas on Thursday night. You don't want to miss it.
Hey, we're in West Texas now. It's not West Texas, it is West Texas as the Trojans look to open up the DQ Big Game of the Week schedule. Of course, the horrific plant explosion, but now these guys have regrouped, they're rebuilt, and they are back. The Trojans look to rise up and beat Little River Academy, the Bumblebees, tonight. It is week 1 of the DQ Big Game of the Week, and it's coming up.
High School Scoreboard Live is brought to you by Ford F-Series, America's best-selling truck for 36 straight years. By Dairy Queen for the best tasting treats, eats, and drinks in Texas. DQ just tastes better. And by State Farm. Like a good neighbor, State Farm is there.
Well, we just got a chance to see one state champion, a defending titleist from 4A. What about the other one? Denton Geyer taking on Cedar Hill. Last year, Cedar Hill knocked off Geyer, and early on, it's Justin McMillan running right at you for the Longhorns. Texas commitment Gerard Hurd, supposed to be one of the big stars in this one, but here, not the best of decisions. Picked off by Tadarian Luster of Cedar Hill, gets a big return, and it'll set this up. McMillan going to look deep, and then afterwards to the ground. Busting outside, a big run after Geyer was in trouble early on. The Wildcats stage a furious comeback in the second half, but it's Joey McGuire's Cedar Hill team that does the job throughout the course of the night. They had the defense, and even though the late touchdowns pulled Geyer close, it was still Cedar Hill getting it as the Longhorns wind up taking it from Geyer for the second consecutive year. Beat them last year. They beat them this time 37-28.
Wow. And how about fearless Joey McGuire? He's going to play Allen next week, by the way.
No worries.
He's
goes right at it.
unbelievable, and it doesn't matter who graduates. They just keep on doing it. What a great win. But remember, Denton Geyer, they were able to run the table after losing to Cedar Hill last year and going on and winning the state title. Time now to find out what's going on in the social universe with the Fox Sports Southwest girls. Let's say hello to Kami and Liddy, who have been all over Twitter and have more Twitter followers than Craig, One Direction, and myself combined. I don't know how you do it. Hey, girls.
Thanks, Rick. We are so excited to be here, and I gotta say, the first week of Texas high school football has been unbelievable, and our new hashtag is social media gold.
It is.
What's your favorite so far that you've seen today?
Well, I'm going to go with, it's actually an Instagram photo of a tweet.
That's intense.
These kids get so creative, right? It's from Caleb Halford. It says, 1 week, 4 practices, 4 lifting days, 64 sets, 384 reps, and 1 Friday night. Will you make it count? Hashtag Panther Pride.
Do you think you actually counted all those out?
I don't know, but I just got to say, next week, I think he needs to hit 400.
400. Mine's just as intense. This is from Adam W. Butcher. He's got season tickets, check, parking pass, check. Those South Lake Carroll, they know how to do it.
They do know how to. Those are some dedicated fans right there. We just want to say we had an awesome first week on High School Football Friday. And don't forget to send in those tweets, those photos with hashtag TXHSFB. Kind of a tongue twister, but get them in. Also, don't forget to tweet us at FSSW Girls. And we will see you guys next week. Rick and Craig, back to you.
Thanks, girls and fans. Make sure you get those pictures, videos, and tweets to the Fox Sports Southwest Girls. Again, hashtag TXHSFB, like Texas high school football. Let's take a timeout. Coming up next, it's off to the 2 biggest cities in the Lone Star State, Houston and the DF Dub. Highlights of 2 state champions, and we'll check in with 1310 The Ticket next. We take you back to Christmas time in the Class 5A Division I championship game. Allen beat the first Houston ISD team to make it to the final in 20 years, Houston-Lamar. Allen hoisted the second trophy in 4 years. Quarterback Kyler Murray, one of the best dual threat quarterbacks in the state, threw for 2,000 yards in the season and ran for 25 touchdowns. What a celebration it was on Fox Sports Southwest. Allen looks to be the first big school repeat champ since Katy did it 6 years ago. In last year's magical run, Allen beat South Lake Carroll 24-0 in the opener. The Fearless Eagles start the season again with South Lake Carroll at their house, followed by a tough matchup with Cedar Hill at the $60 million stadium out in Allen. Let's go to South Lake, where Ryan Agnew is next in the long line of Carroll quarterbacks. Chase Daniel, Riley Dodge, Kenny Hill. You get the idea. First quarter, Joel McClellan intercepts Kyler Murray's pass. Allen started slow in this one. He'll take it all the way to the end zone. And South Lake Carroll is fired up. They're up 7 after 1. But the Eagles would settle down after that. Murray takes it over. He collected over 500 yards, 5 touchdowns in the game, and Allen wins it big. 49-27. How about this? South Lake Carroll has only lost twice at home in 12 seasons. It's their 3rd loss at Dragon Stadium ever. Murray, ridiculous good. And how about his receiver, Cole Carter, who is a baseball commit at West Virginia? He had 233 yards receiving, Craig.
Keeping it with the category of Metroplex teams on which you should keep a watchful eye. How about the Coppell Cowboys? Taking on Longview. Early fumble there by the Cowboys. Stephen Maxey scoops it. The scoop and score. The Cowboys were actually down by 12 at one point. But then Skylar Bonneau. And Bonneau hands it off to Charles West in for the score. And no, doesn't run it. Now finds Blake Mann in the end zone, and then Coppell looking to regain the lead. Bonneau will hand it to Gavin McDaniel. McDaniel takes it in. Coppell rallies back, and they get the win 32-24 over Longview. DeSoto, also one of those teams to watch across the state as well. The Eagles blasted Arlington Martin 46-7, and that brings us to our visit with Corbett Smith to talk about this. And Corbett, I know there was a lot to be impressed about by what DeSoto did. Were you surprised by the margin and the way that DeSoto dominated Arlington Martin?
You know, when I talked to Arlington Martin's coach Bob Wager, he was really excited about this season and excited about their chances. But DeSoto will do that to teams. They've graduated probably one of the best players in the Metroplex has seen in a long time in Dontre Wilson. But they've got Desmond White back. Desmond White has a huge night. And they've got tons of guys that they can move around him. They have a strong defense back. I was a little bit surprised by the margin of victory, but not the result. DeSoto is right behind Allen as a legitimate shot out of the Metroplex for a 5A Division I title.
Corbett, got to ask you, I know you got some personal knowledge of this. The state's longest winning streak of the that's been going right now, 45 in a row. 6-man football, Richland Springs goes down in the opener, 76-52 to May. Did that surprise you for the defending state champs?
Well, actually, I don't cover six-man very much, but I did talk to the Richland Springs coach in the offseason when it was announced that six-man would be playing at Cowboy Stadium. The big thing there was he had left the job to take another six-man job, a team that wasn't nearly as successful as Richland Springs. I mean, Richland Springs, behind Denham Reeves, has been one of the best programs in the state, regardless of class. But then he came back. He had a change of heart and came back to the program. That kind of was an indication that maybe that winning streak and that run for a fourth state title might not continue.
Corbett, let me swing it back to the larger classifications and to the Dallas-Fort Worth Metroplex. If we know about Allen, we know about DeSoto, obviously, and some of the key teams to watch. Who's somebody under the radar on whom we should keep at a watchful eye this season?
Well, as far as 5A Division I, there's really no surprises. All those teams that were good last year are back. 5A Division II, though, there are a lot of wild cards, and I thought Hebron's win tonight at Abilene was a fantastic win, 37-7. Going to Abilene and beating a program like that. They've got a couple of big transfers that came from Waxahachie and one of the Keller schools. They've got probably 4 or 5 Division I type players in that program right now ready to play. And Brian Brazel does a great job and has a state title under his belt. I wouldn't be surprised to see them and Cedar Hill battling it out for the North Texas side of 5A Division II.
Thank you, Corbett, of the Dallas Morning News, and, of course, the show right before ours, which is a lot of fun, the simulcast of 1310 The Ticket. A lot of buzz on Twitter. Everybody loving your new haircut this year, Corbett. Coming up next, the mighty Katy Tigers are out to defend another one of those state championship trophies. Big Red opens up the new campaign with Klein, plus Ahmad Vital and the Permian Basin. Plus, Wichita Falls, you're not going to believe what happened to the Mojo tonight. Highlights and more when we come back. The mighty Katy Tigers won their 6th title in the last 10 years, just one shy of the most in state history behind South Lake Carroll and Salina, who both have 8 championships. Katy averaged over 50 points a game in their perfect season, which was top 5 in the nation. Let's go to Reliance Stadium, where Katy never loses, taking on Klein. The defending champs came out with what Gary Joseph calls first game jitters on Thursday night. Rodney Anderson, the top player in the Houston area, coughs it up, but he would have 208 yards in the game. He makes up for it right here in a big way, replacing Adam Taylor, who moved on to Nebraska. 3 touchdowns for him in the game. Second quarter, I remember Craig Way saying this guy's name a lot, and that drive to the state championship last year, Kylie Huddleston to Andy Coonrod for the touchdown. That made it 20-3. It's all Katy. They win it 41-3. Katy extends the regular season winning streak to 39 in a row, 17th straight overall. They're 8-0 at Reliant. Anderson amazing. Katy overcome a sluggish start where they missed a field goal, missed an extra point, 2 touchdowns called back on penalties, or it would have been worse. 2 of the top area Houston running backs on display between Memorial and Stratford. Matt Collins and Terrence Peters. And here come the teams running out. Mustangs winners of 8 of the last 9 in this series. And early on, Stang strike. It's Matt Jordan connecting with Morgan Watley for the 34-yard touchdown. Then second half, Stratford on the move. Running back Terrence Peters, I told you about him. He scoots in from 7 yards out. He's somebody to watch this year. He's going to put up huge numbers. Memorial would answer back with Mr. Jordan. Matthew on the quarterback keeper, 36 yards to the house. Memorial rolls tonight. They win it 23-13, the final. So Memorial 9-1 in the last 10 meetings between the two, but Stratford should be a fun offense to watch. Remember, they were a 7-on-7 state finalist over the summer.
Airtight matchup between Hightower and Aldine Eisenhower. Ike falls to the Hurricanes by a point, 14-13. And, of course, our friend Ahmad Vital of Scout.com was at that Ike Hightower game, and he joins us now. Ahmad, what really stood out to you about that matchup tonight?
The main thing that stood out about this game is that these two teams play some really good defense. And, Hightower has been hanging his head on there for some time. That was number 1 in the Houston area last year with guys like Matt Adams and those guys leading the way. So it was a lot of defense, not a lot of offense going on in this one. But I'll tell you what, the defenses came to play, and it just seems like at the end that Hightower just had a little bit more conditioning to be able to pull out this win here today.
Ahmad, we talk about the offensive stars that were going into that game. Did it kind of surprise you a little bit? Who really stood out defensively in the matchup since it was a defensive struggle?
Well, as stated, Matt Adams was definitely one of them. Joel Williams was a good one as well. Obviously, both of those young men are both going to play at the University of Houston. Joel and Matt both play linebacker. Joel will move on to the defensive backfield once he gets to Houston. But both of those guys were the leading tacklers. They probably had about 15 tackles between the two of them. Made some really key stops in the backfield. Kind of holding in Donald Catalon to just under 50 yards of production on the night, if I'm not mistaken. But they really were coming in and just making a ton of plays in the backfield, keeping Eisenhower really off their rocker. They just never got any flow going tonight to be able to make any kind of big plays. One of those touchdowns that Eisenhower was able to get tonight was defensive. So really, they only gave up one offensive touchdown, and that was on a broken play down in the secondary. So. Hats off to Hightower for once again showing that they're going to be a top defense in the area again.
Thanks, Ahmad Vital at Scout.com. Always great to be working with you again. Like the new Twitter picture. Pretty strong with the football there. He's always on the pulse of all the best athletes in the greater Houston area. Check him out at Scout.com. Let's go back to the Alamo City. And a good one between San Antonio Reagan and San Antonio Wagner. The Rattlers and their sensational quarterback Ty Summers taking over for Trevor Knight, who's now the starting quarterback at Oklahoma. That pass to Cash Knutson, and that would lead to Summer on the keeper. In the fall, he takes it in on the read option, and the Rattlers, they win big, 35-18 in the third. They were leading it, and they take it 49-25. The final there. Look out for the Rattlers. They could be a team to keep an eye on. Let's take a break. Coming up next, we are going to the Permian Basin and Wichita Falls. Plus, we'll check in on one of the best small schools in the country, Refugio, who normally scores 80 points a game. Not tonight. But we'll find out what's going on with the amazing gunslinging quarterback of Travis Quintanilla. The Bobcats are already a threat to win it all. Back with more after this. High School Scoreboard Live rolls on in the Permian Basin. Can't open a season without highlights for the Mojo. OP, are you with me? Against El Paso Montwood. And Heath Wood on the quick slant, making it happen. Rams turn it into points, though. Fourth down, Jacob Aguilar. Screen pass to Josh Revilla, and he'll take it coast to coast for the most. 7-0 Wrecking Rams. Later in the first, Montwood's Aguilar. Quick pass to a wide-open Ruben Portillo, and he will take it to the house. 65 whopping yards later. And look at that score, folks. A little history tonight. Get this. This is the first time ever Odessa Permian has ever lost to an El Paso school. Wow. Elsewhere, Monahans and Midland Christian going at it. Mustang Field. Packing every new seat in that house, ready to watch the 2013 state champs. Mustangs getting started early. Mason McClendon connecting down the field to Brian Wynn. It's always a win-win option when you go to him. A few plays later, McClendon rolling, and looking and finding Jared Coim in the end zone, and that would be a 6-0 lead. Second quarter action, Mustangs lead at 12-7. McClendon airing it out to win for the 40-yard touchdown, and this one is all Midland Christian. The Mustangs, they go to 1-0, 47-7, the final there. Got to come back talking about the Mojo. How about the history made tonight? We always wondered, is there ever going to be a team in El Paso that jumps up and maybe beats somebody or makes a run in the playoffs? How about Montwood beating Mojo? First time they ever lost to an El Paso school.
Montwood's had a very solid program over the years, and maybe we shouldn't be that stunned by it. Remember, Permian's in a bit of a transition period. However, I think Blake Felt will do a fine job there. Remember, he won a state championship at Pilot Point and then went down to Hayes, just south of Austin, did a good job succeeding a legend there in Bob Shelton. So it may take a little time for Mojo to get their mojo back, but I think they'll be all right.
Anybody else in the Permian Basin other than the usual suspects we should keep an eye on?
Right, and I think that you have to expand that to the larger district, because when you talk about the district overall in District 3, and you're talking about the two Abilene schools, you're talking about Abilene High. It's weird. Abilene High didn't lose a game until deep in the playoffs, 3 rounds in last year, and they go down to defeat tonight. You heard Corbett Smith talking about it earlier. Surprising that they were stunned the way they were by Hebron, beaten as badly as they were, but still keep an eye on the Eagles. And obviously keep an eye on Abilene Cooper, and Cooper was going to have a big road trip up to Wichita Falls to take on a team that went to the Final Four in Class 4A last year, the Rider Raiders, and right away The Raiders strike Chase London and Davon Allison 75 yards for the score. Ryder leads it 7-0. Cooper responds, however, bouncing right back, and this touchdown and a two-point conversion would put the Cougars on top 8-7. Back on the direct snap, Fleeks in for the score. Ryder on top 13-8. It would be like this all night long. And look at that final score, 39-36. Ryder with the win over Cooper. Big win for the Ryder Raiders to knock off Abilene Cooper and to take it and to go to 1-0 in district competition.
Coming up next, the season debut of the DQ Big Game of the Week. What a story from West Texas as a community tries to heal through football on the same field that was a triage for the deadly explosion back in April. You don't want to miss it. Neil Beasley with that story next on Fox Sports Southwest. April 17th, an explosion rocked the West Texas community. Up until this week, construction crews moved in portables, pouring concrete walkways for students displaced from the deadly blast. The high school took over the middle school. The middle school is a village of mobile home classrooms. The football field was used as a triage after the blast for all kinds of support crews. And it was a dirt field up until 3 weeks ago. They didn't even have goalposts until 4 o'clock on game day. With football back, a chance for that great Czech community to get back to normal. Here's Neil Beasley with an emotional DQ Big Game of the Week.
Bomb just went off inside here. It's pretty bad. Firefighters down. I'm sending everybody I got. We have many people down. Please respond. There's a bomb go off. Again, there has been an explosion on the fire scene. There are firefighters down at this time.
April 17th, 2013 changed the city of West Texas forever.
Oh my God.
The fertilizer plant explosion is the kind of thing that doesn't happen here. If you've ever been on I-35, chances are you've pulled in the Kalachi, capital of Texas, in the town with the huge Czech influence. There's nothing not to love about West, but the summer break was anything but this year.
Every second of the 24-hour day, there was something going on to get things ready for school, for this football game.
15 people were killed in the accident. Hundreds more were injured, and thousands were affected by it all. But while it literally shook this town, one thing it couldn't do is shake their resolve.
We had a couple of kids that their house and their grandparents' house were destroyed, and so you know, it was tough at times to be able to try to tell them the right things to tell them and talk to them and communicate with them that things were going to be okay. But you know, kids are resilient.
I'd take a bullet for every one of them. I mean, it's huge of what we have. We are a team, man.
Pretty much our whole school came out and went to the Westfest grounds and unloading supplies from just trailers and just putting them where they go, like clothes, toiletries, and all that good stuff.
Monday after the explosion, you know, you could tell there was some anxiety in their eyes, and they were nervous about some things. But it was about Tuesday morning, and we started having kids. Hey, Coach, when are we going to get back to athletics?
We're pretty excited about it and stuff because we came back strong. And we came back a way better family than we were before, so it's awesome.
I've been waiting for this day for about 4 months. Just getting back out on this field and hitting people.
Rise Up has become this team's, this school's, this town's motto.
We are West, we are strong, and we are rising up.
And rising up they are.
You will see not only a team rising up, but a community as well. Rise up, community, rise up.
Head coach David Woodard knowing the winning starts now. And by that I mean the Kalachi toss. Just one win last year. They're looking to ride the wave of community support this year. And 11 starters returned for the Trojans, so these boys feel like they have a date with destiny. Little River Academy was the foe on this night. The Bumblebees, very little sting last year, just 2-8, but looking to taste the sweet nectar of victory tonight. The buzz for these Bees centers around the runners, junior Alex McCullough and sophomore Cody Martinez. Tonight, finally, the focus is back on football.
We're in that rebuilding mode just like our town is. We can learn a lot from our town, and tonight, our town is going to learn a lot from us. We've started down here, and today's the day. We talked about it August 5th when we started taking that step. We took a step, and we've been taking steps every day. Today's a giant leap, men. Everybody in that stadium's rooting for you tonight. Everybody in that stadium's here to watch you put on a show. Don't disappoint them. Give them something to smile about and talk about it in the morning. Everybody got it?
Let's roll! Let's go! Let's go! Let's go!
We're going to get the ball. We're going to establish a drive. We're going to go down and we're going to score. Yes, sir. We're going to get a stop, and then we're going to get ourselves right back into this. But listen to me. It's going to take all 32 of us to get it done.
Score, Academy Bumblebees 41 and the West Trojans 7.
Our town, we represent everybody in it, and to wear that jersey and to represent your whole community, and especially in our time right now, I'm proud of it. It's a neat thing.
At the end of the day, we just wanted it to be about the game, you know, and just playing the game, and so I think our kids did that. I think they blocked out the distraction and just played football.
Well, game one was not the success that the Trojans were hoping for on the field, but just being on the field for game one is quite a success story in its own right. For producer Clark Rowe and photographer Jeff Irwin, I'm Neil Beasley with your DQ Big Game of the Week.
1, 2, 3, Chargers! Thanks, Neil, Jeff, and Clark. Awesome story. This is our 11th year of doing the DQ Big Game of the Week. Next week, it's off to the Panhandle for a colossal matchup between Cedar Park and Abilene Cooper. A ton of big-time athletes on the field for that one. Look forward to that next week. Now, Craig, we've dealt with so many topics on the DQ Big Game of the Week. Towns recovering from hurricanes, tornadoes, death. And there's no question when we look at this story, just heavy hearts for the West Texas community that's just been unbelievable getting through this.
What you have to be impressed with is the resiliency of the community, really starting from the night of the blast itself and how the whole community, yes, they rallied around one another and they had to dig through rubble and they had to bury loved ones as well. And that's why football and athletics and even to a lesser extent school got shoved to the back burner for a while. And Connolly High School just down the road opened its doors to West. That's a bit of a rivalry, but they allowed the West seniors to be able to finish their senior year, and they had their graduation. So, yeah, they pick up. Never forget what happens, but they do move on.
Yeah, we remember those ambulances and stuff at that triage right on the football field, and the fact that 3 weeks before Thursday night in the game opener, it was a dirt field, and they weren't even sure if they're going to use grass or turf, and they didn't even have the goalpost up until game day.
Yeah, that's why I think that this thing is going to be very, very cathartic in the long run, just to be able to get back to work, to get back on the football field, to get back to trying to be a better football team. And they talk about athletics can go a long way toward healing a community, healing a school. The first step was tonight, even though it wasn't in the win column. But as Neil mentioned, certainly it was a big, big victory just to be on the field. Well, speaking of the Super Centex region, let's continue with that.
Yeah, we got to keep our eye on the Waco High Lions, rebuilding under their interim coach, and they went 9-4 as a regional semifinalist last year up against Shoemaker, and that is Nahome Anderson from 45 yards on the game. Then later in the drive, Josh Brown, it's an 11-yard touchdown. That's why his name is Touchdown Brown. 7-0 Shoemaker. Lions facing a 4th and 6, and Trainham Moore connects with Tyler Taylor for a 29-yard score. Then in the second quarter, it's Troy Robinson getting into the end zone from 10 yards out. Waco wins it 37-14. No question, we'll have to keep our eye on the Lions. They're always so dangerous in the Syntax.
As are the Midway Panthers, and sporting the new look for the new season, opening the season against the Bryant Vikings. Midway's lost just 2 regular season games since 2009. Early safety there makes it 2-0 Midway, and then on the ensuing drive, the Panthers couldn't punch it in. No worries. Leo Peralta with that 46-yard field goal to make it 5-0 Midway. Brian punting again this time. Case and Bushley fields at the 34 and goes 66 yards for the score. Midway up 12-0. Impressive home victory as they win down in Hewitt by a score of 38-7. And I mentioned Conley earlier and what Conley did to try to help out West. Well, Conley was also trying to help themselves to Cameron, the defending state champion. And so we've got some highlights of that coming up.
Wow, you got to look out. That one, unbelievable matchups in the first week. That's what makes 0 week so much fun. Break time on Scoreboard Live. Coming up next, the Valley Boys of the Rio Grande and highlights of Powers, West Laco, and Los Fresnos, and so much more if you keep it where it is. Let's roll out the Bill Ford Tough Player of the Week watch list. These are the guys we're keeping an eye on that have a good chance of winning the most prestigious honor in high school sports in the state of Texas. Gerard Hurd of the defending state champion Denton Geyer guys. And how about Foster the People Sawyer of Fort Worth All Saints and his superstar running back Terrence Williams, Tony Upchurch of Pearland Dawson, and KD Cannon. We're going to be saying his name a lot from Mount Pleasant. Nominate your favorite player at playeroftheweek.com for performances based on and off the field, Craig.
All right, we told you about that matchup between Cameron and Connolly High. Of course, Cameron 15-0. The Yeomen, a perfect season. 2A Division I state champions last year. Yeomen were down when the 3-yard touchdown pass goes from Jason Capriva to John Washington. It was 7-all, but on the next cadet possession, Christian Brown to a wide-open Marcus Howard, 63 yards for the score. After a turnover, Yo bounces back, and they do come back to get the win over Connolly, so the win streak continues. They win it 37-34.
That's Yeoman's work, my man. The pride of Odessa High, taking the journey to Amarillo High. It's Broncos and Sandys. Something's got to give. We pick it up in the first, and here's Dion Lynch. He's going to get loose. And he's got a whole lot of green and a whole lot of glory. 7-3, Amarillo High in control. The ensuing drive here, Matthew Ortega, touchdown pass to Dolly Burney, and he burned him there. This one's all Amarillo High, 35-3. Nice win there.
We're moving on to the Brazos Valley region, and a team to watch during the course of the year is going to be Elgin, the Wildcats, playing at Rudder. And the early touchdown there by Detrian Simmons makes it 7-0 Wildcats. They go back on it. Simmons again around. It was 35-3 at the half. Rick, I'm going to tell you, keep an eye on this Elgin Wildcat Ball Club. Going to be very dangerous in a very tough district this year. They beat Rudder 49-3.
What do you like about them so much?
Explosiveness on offense, and they're in a very explosive district as well. So that's going to be a lot of fun to watch them. All season long in the greater Austin area, it was a little bit of a buildup last year for them. This year, I think they may be ready to launch.
And you look at that and you say, if you get out of that district, you probably can beat anybody in the state. Coming up next, Erin Hardigan of Scout.com will join us. She'll break down the top 11 recruits in the 2014 class, plus highlights of other games, the Brazos Valley, and so much more after this short timeout.
Welcome back to High School Scoreboard Live. I'm Erin Hardigan, bringing you this week's starting 11. Tonight, we're giving you Scout.com's top 11 seniors in the state of Texas. Tony Brown and Jamal Adams top off the list. 2 of the top DBs in the nation, 2 of the best I've covered in my tenure covering high school football, both undecided. Coppell and Arlington Martin bring two of the top defensive ends, and Solomon Thomas and Miles Garrett also undecided. And Gerard Hurd rounds out this list at number 11. Despite Geyers lost to Cedar Hill last night, he remains solid to the University of Texas. And Hurd may be the only quarterback on this list, but he's not the only talented quarterback in the Lone Star State. Next week, we'll give you the top 11 quarterbacks in the state. Rick, Craig, back to you guys.
Thank you, Aaron. Speaking of great quarterbacks, how about Travis Quintanilla? He's back for yet another year with Refugio, who normally scores 80 points a game. They won tonight over Ingleside, but it wasn't easy, just 32-20. Quintanilla, a 4,000-yard passer last year with 57 touchdowns, off to a slow start. And another guy on Aaron's list, K.D. Cannon of Mount Pleasant against Paris tonight. And this is our play of the night. Craig, you're going to love this. We know K.D. Cannon can do a lot of cool things. Check this out. Gets up, grabs it, the flip over, and holds on, baby. That's big time, Craig.
No trouble at all. Let me go up top, climb the ladder, and pull it down. And you got to have great concentration on that when you're going for a ball like that. You've got defenders around you, and still get up in the air, take the hit, bounce right back up, and go right back to work for Mount Pleasant.
And Mount Pleasant went on to win that game 40-17, and that's got to hurt you as a defender because you make this great play. He catches the ball, and B, pops up like he didn't even feel it. It was like a gnat. It was just getting him off him.
You do everything you can do, and sometimes it's not enough. Hey, I wanted to mention something else also with regard to Refugio. They scored 32 points tonight. Some would say, hey, that's pretty good. And for the Bobcats, we've become accustomed to seeing them score a lot more. Might take them just a little longer to get back into that scoring rhythm. They only have 3 returning starters on offense, 4 on defense. Still, this is a dangerous team, a team that's a perennial state championship caliber team. Jason Herring knows that's got his guys going. And when you have a trigger man like Quintanilla, you're probably going to pile up some points eventually.
Yeah, no question about it. Let's take a break. Coming up next, we'll talk about Waco and Dumas in their game. We got highlights of that one. Plus, we'll tell you how all the state champions fared this weekend. Some surprises out there when we continue on Scoreboard Live.
Weslaco and Ed Caltelsa down from the Rio Grande Valley. First game for Ed Caltelsa and their new coach, Joe Marishalar. And Israel Laredo, 39-yard touchdown run. EE up 21-zip. Laredo had over 100 yards rushing. A couple of scores just before halftime. Panthers get on the board. Weslaco's 58-yard touchdown run from Aaron Gonzalez has Weslaco down at the 3-yard line. Zach Martin finishes the drive, 21-7 Jackets, but Ed Caltelsa's Diego Garcia finishes things, 59-yard touchdown run. Ed Caltelsa downs Weslaco. The 4A beats the 5A, 35-14.
Wow, meanwhile, the Dumas Demons taking on the Perryton Rangers, both expected to have big seasons. Dumas here getting it going early. That's Benton to Nathan Thomas, and no doubting Thomas is about that. He's going to pick up about 10 yards there. Then Bilbray will hit Thomas again. The only problem here is that he would fumble later on. And that's the thing about early on in the season in 0 week. There's a lot of mistakes, a lot of special teams things going down. Dumas goes on to win it by 1, 29-28, and the wild snap there in the safety. And let's take a look at how the defending state champions fared. So Allen and Katy, they continue to roll. Denton Geyer loses, but they lose to a bigger school in Cedar Hill, who was in the state title game last year.
And remember, Geyer lost to Cedar Hill last year.
Didn't matter.
So maybe they're right on track to defending the 4A Division I title. Cedar Park, an impressive win over a team that will really compete in 5A. Westlake for a shot at a state title. And Stephenville
almost lost to those guys from Mexico again.
Last year they lost to the Borregos from Prepa Tech in Monterey. They had to rally in the fourth quarter and then hold on, but the Jackets win. So all is well in the Cross Timbers. They win tonight 17-16. Navasota picks up right where they left off as Lee Fedora's ball club wins 35-7.
No one's going to play Monterey Tech anymore. They're so dangerous. And then Cameron Yo, they did yeoman's work. It was a little difficult, but they win. How about East Bernard getting it done in a big way?
The team that knocked out Refugio last year rolled to the state championship. Coach Long's ball club wins big. Stanford, Coach Hutchinson back at it again. And the Monday Moguls bounce back with a win. The two big surprises, Throckmorton loses in 6-man D1, and Richland Springs, that defending state champ, with that 45-game win streak. They go down 76-52 to Mays Tigers in that one.
I think the thing that blows you away about that is Throckmorton getting shut out.
Yep.
Bob Lilly can't be happy with that.
They wound up getting 45, as they say, in six-man vernacular. Did you like and did you notice, Rick, right there at the end, how we jumped from the Rio Grande Valley to the Panhandle? 700 miles, just like that.
Just like that. That's how we do it here on Scoreboard Live. Any teams out there you think we should be keeping an eye on?
We've seen a few of them, and that DQ game next week is going to be a lot of fun to watch. Abilene Cooper barely losing to a very good Wichita Falls Rider Ball Club, and they get the defending state champs from Cedar Park next week.
Thanks so much for watching. Don't forget to join us for college football all day Saturday with post-game shows with the great Craig James, Tony Banks, Gary Reasons, and at the end of the day we'll have Big 12 Live. And make sure you join us for 6 hours of continuous high school football coverage every Friday night. We start at 7 o'clock and go all night. Enjoy it. Thank you so much for watching. Have yourself a great weekend. Football is back, baby.